So to connect the computer and the camera, you need an Ethernet cable. And on one side, you're gonna have to plug it in to the computer. And then on the other side, you need to locate the Ethernet port on the camera and then plug the other side of the Ethernet cable into the camera. And once you see the light, an Ethernet connection should be established. The camera IP address is 192.168.5.163, and so since you want your computer to be able to access the camera through the Ethernet connection that you just did, you need to manually change the computer IP address to 192.168.5.160. Now the 160, it doesn't have to be 160, but it has to be unique from 163. So to manually change it, right-click on the internet icon and click Open Network and Internet Settings. Once there, scroll down until you see Network and Sharing Center, which you should click on. Once you're in the Network and Sharing Center, find the Ethernet. Make sure that it's not your internet Ethernet, because you may have multiple Ethernet connections. So make sure that there is no internet access and click on that Ethernet. And then click on Properties, and then once you're in Properties, find something called IPv4, and then double click on that. In the IPv4 properties, click on Use the following IP address and input the IP address that I just talked about, which is 192.168.5.160. And then the subnet mask will input itself. And then for the default gateway, put 192.168.5.1. And after you inputted everything, press OK, and then press OK again. This is important. Press it twice, and then close the window. After you have changed the IP address, enter the IP address of the camera, which is 192.168.5.163 to a browser, and then log in. The username is admin, and the password is admin as well. And then your camera should be connected and you can access the device on your computer. So for these models, for the 1560 models, there's not much different. The only difference is that the IP address that you're going to be changing your computer to is different. So the camera IP address for these cameras, for the 1560s and all the other models that I listed, is 192.168.10088. And you're going to be changing your computer IP address to 192.168.100.10080. And the default gateway is 192.168.100.1. So to do that, you again click on the internet icon, right click, and then open Network and Internet Settings. And then you scroll all the way down, and then you go to Network and Sharing Center. And then you find the Ethernet that has no network access. And then you click on that, and then you click on Properties, and then you find the IPv4 Internet Protocol version 4, double click on that. We'll use the following IP address, which I just wrote down, and let me go get to that, is, so you're gonna be changing it to 192.168.10080, and then the subnet mask will enter itself, and then the default gateway is 192.168 1001. Make sure for IP address and the default gateway, the first three sections are the same. And then you press OK, and then you press OK again, and then you close this window. And then you go into a web browser, and then you type in the IP address of the camera, which is 192.168.100.88. It may ask you to log in. The username is admin, and the password is admin as well, and everything should work. Okay, so now that you have connected your computer to the camera with the Ethernet cable, what we're going to be doing now is putting the camera into the local area network or the LAN. So what you're going to do is you're going to go to the camera webpage and you're going to log in. So the username is admin and then the password is also admin. You're going to go to configuration and then you're going to go to Ethernet. Once you're in Ethernet, a bunch of stuff will pop up. So there's IP address, subnet mask, default gateway, and MAC address. So the only two things you're going to be changing is the IP address and the default gateway. So previously, I asked you to find the IP address, and you're going to find the IP address that you found through the command prompt. So my first three sections is 192.168.0. So I'm going to type in 192.168.0. Then after that, this last section, you can put any number. You just have to make sure that the devices in your local area network don't have this last number. So the last number has to be unique for each device. So I'm going to do like 121, for example. And the default gateway is going to be changed to 192.168.0.1. So for the default gateway, the first three sections need to be the same, and then the fourth section is just 1. Okay, and then you press save, and then you go to reboot, and then you press reboot. You press yes, and then your device will reboot. And then after your camera is rebooted, remove the Ethernet connection between your computer and the camera, and then take the Ethernet cable and then connect it to the camera, and then the other end will go into the router. And then after that, you can type the camera IP address that you just changed into the web browser. So mine would be 192.168.0.121, and your camera should pop up. Just a reminder is when you go into configuration, there's a thing called network port. When you're there, don't change anything because you might actually lose access to your camera.